Hey everyone, I'm Leanne Clark-Shirley, ASA's VP of Programs and Thought Leadership, and welcome to another episode of ASA Live. Today I am joined by the Dementia Guru herself, Ashley Stevens. Hey Ashley.
Hey.
And by the creator of Gero-What, Christina Peoples. Hello, Christina.
Hey.
Good to be here with you all.
Yeah.
So Christina, I think you really hit the nail on the head when you named your brand Gero-What. It's a question I, as a gerontologist, always get. You two are gerontologists. What is gerontology? How did you pick it? So I wanted to just hear a little bit about your story. So Ashley, maybe starting with you, what does it mean to you to be a gerontologist, to work in aging? How do you think about all that?
Yeah. Thank you for having us. And I'm excited about sharing my experience and what really drove me to enter into the field of gerontology. It's really so special for me to be in this field. I truly, truly believe that it is my calling. It is my passion. It is what ignites me. It makes me come alive every single day working in this field. And I've shared this a couple times, but I remember when I was first entering into the field of gerontology and wanting to pick my major and expressing that I wanted to study gerontology, and people looking at me like, what? Why would you want to work with old people? Ugh. Like that was literally the responses that I received. And it was damaging. It was so harmful, those ageist comments that I heard. And it drove an even deeper passion in me to want to work in the field, which then kind of led me to also focusing within the field of dementia care, which also holds a very special place in my heart. Because when I was very young, about 6 years old, is when I first encountered or experienced Alzheimer's disease. So my great grandma Trolley, she was diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease. And at that age, I had no clue what that was. I didn't know what that meant, but I just knew that things were frightening and different. And they were not just different for me or for my great grandma Trolley, but they were also different for my family and for my mother and my grandmother, who were her caregivers. And so witnessing that, and kind of fast forward now to working with family caregivers and having that firsthand experience within my own family, that continues to be my calling and my passion, and why I just feel it's so special to work in the field of gerontology.
Ah, that's so well put. I think, a lot of people like us who pursue degrees in gerontology, a common theme that you hear is early experiences in some way with aging, with dementia, or just a particular closeness with grandparents. Christina, what about you? How did you get into this field, and what does it mean to you to be working in it?
Yeah, well, also thank you for having me. This is exciting. For me, similar, well, not similar, but as far as the interest, I was interested in working with older adults. I knew it was something I wanted to do even as a child. I just didn't know what that would look like. And we always have our own plans of how we think things will play out. It didn't play out how I thought it would, but when I got to school and I wanted to be a nursing major. That didn't work out well. I learned about the gerontology program, and it was new. It was at Winston-Salem State University, and it was a fairly new program. So it wasn't a lot of students taking it. And one of my good friends told me about it, and I was like, oh, I'm going to change my major to that then. And I really enjoyed the program. I enjoyed learning the different aspects of aging. And same situation where people would say like, what? You're so young. Why do you want to work with old people? Or one person, which it was very offensive. I remember I was talking about my major, and the person was like, you want to clean poop? And I was like, how did we get that like how do
Right.
we get to there from what I'm
Right.
telling you that my major is? So little things like that, it really only fired me up to want to be a part of it even more, because it was just like, wow, like the perspective of one, working with older adults, and then two, aging in itself, it's so skewed. And I want to be one of those people who can bring a different light to what aging is all about, what it involves, the challenges, the ups, the downs, all the things in between. So
Yeah. It's so true. So you went to Winston-Salem. Ashley, you went to Bowling Green, is that right, for undergrad?
Yes, Bowling Green State University, and that's where I received my gerontology degree.
Awesome. Shout out to Ohio. I went to Miami University. And I remember I took the class because it like ticked off 3 different requirements for, I was like, gerontology, interesting. How could you spend an entire semester talking about aging? I don't know. We'll see. And fast forward later, several degrees and careers, and and we're still, Christina, you said it. It's such a broad field. There's so many opportunities here, and so many challenges, so many threats. You've both mentioned ageism, and I know it plays a part in the work that you do every day. ASA is holding a health equity forum the week of July 18th to talk about some of the inequities and some of the possibilities for achieving health equity as we age across the life course. We're going to be talking about things like how racism in medicine, how ageism in medicine, how climate change, how gun violence impacts us as we age, impacts older adults today, impacts older adults of the future. We're going to be talking about how we, as members of the field of aging, can plan for our own health equity in our retirements. We'll talk about some policy solutions. But I wanted to ask the two of you in particular, what are some of the most critical or prevalent challenges to equity and aging that you see?
Yes. So you mentioned racism in medicine, and I really want to highlight that, especially in dementia care. There's so much of that we see. A lot of communities of color experience medical discrimination and racism. And it's upsetting because this actually happened to my own family, where you go in with your concerns, you muster up the courage to actually get to the appointment, and then as soon as you get there, they hand you the diagnosis, send you home, no resources, no support, and even the providers display medical bias. They're not supportive of you, they discriminate towards you, and you're left with this very challenging, confusing diagnosis and unsure how to navigate it. And so we see that a lot in dementia care. And I believe it was about over 50% of within the Black community, Black families, Black family caregivers who expressed feeling and experiencing that medical discrimination when trying to seek a dementia diagnosis and support for care. So it's so critical for us to really not forget about dementia when we're talking about aging and we're talking about some of these health inequities. And that's why, for me, it's really important as a gerontological social worker to know about these types of things that are happening, but also how we can advocate to support those families, those marginalized communities, and how to advocate for a change within the medical field and creating a infrastructure that really supports those Black family caregivers.
Yeah. Christina, what about you? What are some of the most important critical equity challenges you see in aging?
Yeah, I mean, same thing. The health equity is just huge. There's this intersection of the racism and ageism, and it affects Black people specifically, because I can speak for it. And I see it a lot when it deals with health literacy, when going to a healthcare professional to get help, just like Ashley said, even for individuals who are just trying to get a diagnosis, it's often brushed off, it's put to the side, or it's, oh, don't worry about it. It's all of these different things. But the race and the ageism going together has an even bigger impact on that individual. And so it's very challenging. It's definitely something that I try to address just in my own line of work, where I work with residents who have health concerns, and even with living in a nursing home or assisted living, and they're, trying to speak up on their behalf to say, hey, I need this to be looked into, or I'm needing help with this, and it's getting brushed off. They might think, oh, mentally, the person doesn't know what he or she is talking about. They don't take it seriously. And so I see it all the time, and I'm constantly like, okay, well, I'm going to be your voice because they're not trying to hear you. And I'm going to make sure your voice is heard. You have a concern. It should be taken seriously, regardless of if it's a real matter or not. What you say, you feel about your body should be heard. And so definitely the health equity piece is something that I see an issue with on a daily basis.
Yeah. And that's in your work as an ombudsman, a long-term
Yes.
care ombudsman. Yeah. So not only are you the creator of Gero-What, you're also on the ground doing that work, being the voice. Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah. Ashley, you're nodding in agreement. I see you.
Yes, yes. We're both out here on the in the field, grassroots efforts, working one-on-one, hand in hand with our families and caregivers, and we're trying to do our little part in this world to make an impact.
It's a big part. It's a big part, right?
Yeah, it is a big part, but let's talk about that part. So Ashley, Christina, you mentioned your ombudsman work. Ashley, talk about some of the work that you're doing right now that you're excited about that helps address some of the inequities that you've seen.
Yes. So I'm a gerontological social worker. So I have my master's degree in social work and my license in social work. And so I work with family caregivers, similar to the how my family experienced dementia and caregiving. Now I'm working with family caregivers to collaborate with them, support them, help them understand the disease process, and kind of develop coping skills and ways to cope with a dementia diagnosis. And so I do that in my everyday work. And then that kind of led me to creating the Dementia Guru platform and brand that really focuses on supporting elders, supporting Black family caregivers, millennial caregivers, because we know sometimes millennials get a bad rap. And we are out here like really working hard, and we are caregivers. And so I wanted to create a space that supports all of us who are in this aging space, and providing education and resources for families, even professional caregivers. And so some of the work that I'm doing right now focuses on developing curriculum that helps professional caregivers really develop their skills in dementia care, and just helping them to understand healthy professional caregiving boundaries, and working with family caregivers and people living with dementia. And then I also created a workbook that focuses exactly on that, caregiving boundaries. And so you can find all of those wonderful resources and tools and ways to work with me on my website, www.thedementiaguru.com.
Awesome. Everybody go check that out as soon as this is done. And Christina, okay, so you've talked about your ombudsman work and being that voice. I know you just got back from the NAS, National Association of Social Workers conference, where you were speaking on ageism.
Yeah.
So talk about some of the work that you're doing with Gero-What that's really tackling either ageism as an equity issue or anything else.
Oh yeah, and that honestly, that was a really great experience with being on stage. I got to sit with Tracy Gendron and also Trish D'Antonio, who's with Reframing Aging. Yeah. And it was an amazing experience. You know how you're kind of sitting there like, oh, I'm supposed to be talking. I was enjoying what you. Oh, it's my turn. Yeah. That's how it felt, because they just, I mean, it was so eloquent. And so I really enjoyed being able to be in a room with other people who have similar interests and, you know, that same drive to really work on ways to confront ageism. That's like one of my main things, because it comes up in our everyday lives in conversation. We at times our ages just with our own internal thoughts, or when we're talking with our friends and might not notice it. So I really like have a strong passion with that topic and the age bias that we might have within ourselves or towards others, and how we can confront that age bias. And a lot of times being aware of it and dispelling certain myths. And, that comes with time. It's not something that's overnight, but constantly being aware with what we're saying. Like, why did I just say I'm having a senior moment? Like, where did that come from? What encouraged me to think that? What does that even mean to me? Or why do I think my mother cannot do certain things because she is getting older? Like, what's triggering those thoughts, and then addressing them and thinking, okay, what is the truth? What's the facts behind these thoughts? And so I'm just really big on having those conversations, whether it's on a professional level or a personal level. It all affects us, and it can affect us internally or externally. But the more aware we are of these things, then the better we have the chance to address it and, do our best to kind of keep eliminating it or preventing it from happening so often.
Yeah. So how can people how can people play a part in these conversations? I know you guys have conversations with each other on social media a lot. So tell everyone how to find you, and maybe when and where and all that stuff.
Yes, so I can be found on all social media platforms. On Instagram, it's Gero-What, Gero_what, and then any other platform is Gero-What. And my website is www.Gero-What.com. I have my email information available on all of those platforms, so people can definitely contact me via email, and we can talk further and figure out ways to have more of these conversations. And you can always jump on Ashley and I's live. So we go live on the last Monday of the month usually, and you can always hop on and join in with the conversations. We have a good time on there.
Yeah. And is that usually on Instagram where you're going live, or does
Yes.
it? Okay. Yeah. Fantastic.
Yeah.
And Ashley, yours, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, we just have so much fun on those lives, and it's just us coming as we are, our authentic selves, and talking about aging, and it's a lot of fun. So hopefully you all can join us sometime. And to find me, we've got my website, www.thedementiaguru.com, and then my social media handles on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn. It is at the Dementia Guru.
Got it. And we will post all this stuff too. Well, thank you both. Two of the best on the ground doing that important equity work and talking about it, which is really critical, and talking about it in an age inclusive way. So thank you for the work that you're doing. We appreciate it. And everyone who's joining us, thank you for the work that you're doing in this field. And we hope to see you in July at the Health Equity Forum and on social media in the meantime. So thanks, and take care, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.